Hey guys, Gabe here with Nerd-O-Rama Network, and I'm sitting here with the master himself, Clay. Talk to me what's going on here. So you make not just hammers, armor, display pieces, you make just about everything.
Yeah, pretty much anything. Anybody sends me a request for it, I try my darndest to get it done for them. You know, and whatever material they want, I don't limit myself to any type of material at all. It's, you know, stone, metal, wood, plastic, resin, you name it.
And you were saying you made a crystal hammer
I made a crystal Thor hammer. I actually made a couple of them, and one of them went to one of our fallen soldiers.
Really?
Yeah, they had a benefit for him, and I made it for them, and I donated it to them, and they auctioned it off, and it went for them. And then I had another guy, and he saw it on my website, and he says, I gotta have it. So, boom, it was gone. So those are the only two crystal ones I made, but yeah.
So how long have you been, is it blacksmithing would be the technical term?
Well, a lot of it came from basically when I was a kid. What happened is, I don't know if, you know, and I'm going to show my age here, they had those things called the thing makers, you know? Okay, you put them in there, they had the creeple people and the creatures and stuff like that. Well, when I was a kid, you know, I didn't get any allowance. I had to figure out a way to make money. So I went down to the local scrapyard and bought lead for 10 cents a pound, brought it back, melted it on my kitchen stove, and poured it into the creeple people head mold, punched a little hole through it, tied a string around it, and took them to school and sold them for 50 cents a piece, you know? And I could make like 6 of them with a pound of lead. So I was making money. My dad's going, where are you getting all this money, you know? So it kind of started like that. I've always been innovative, and, you know, in my later years, I found out that, you know, it's a God-given talent. And,
clearly.
and I give him credit for everything that happens in this studio, because without him, I couldn't do all this stuff. And so he's a big part of my life. But it just progressed. Always making furniture and stuff like that. You saw the chair that you sat in the chair, and always doing stuff like that, and just craft stuff, just lots of different things. And I always just had this inventive mind.
What got you into doing Thor hammers specifically?
Well, when I was a kid, I read the comic books a lot, and I used to draw a lot too. I was a pretty good artist back when I was a kid, and Thor was my favorite character. And he just was. And I ended up working for a company that sold CNC machines, you know, similar to the one I got here, but way bigger and way better. And they had some extra material laying around one day, and I said, hey, do you mind if I play? And they go, no, go ahead, help yourself. So I made a Thor hammer. And it was just the simple comic book version where it's just the beveled edges, similar like the Stan Lee one we've got there. And it was just a simple one. And, you know, I made it, and I had put it up on a website I had at the time. It wasn't a Thor hammer website, it was just a website. And people go, wow, can I get one of those? So the material was free, the work was free. They said, use up all the scrap material. So I started making Thor hammers, you know, and it ended up, there became a following, and people started saying, well, I want it customized. So I said, well, I can do that. So I started customizing. And then as the movies evolved, I started evolving with them. So I started creating similar to the movie version. I had a little run-in with Marvel years back where they came and gave me a cease and desist and said, you got to give us everything. And I talked to them, and I talked with their lawyers, and pretty much they understood that each one that I made was a custom original. I wasn't pounding out these duplicates to sell. So they just leave me alone, because I'm the go-to guy for an original Thor hammer.
So you don't just have a bunch hanging around in the workshop. You make them specific to each client.
Every one is a custom original specifically to the client. If they contact me, they say, hey, I want a hammer, and their first question is, how much does it cost? And I go, well, let's back up. I said, what do you want? And they tell me what they want. They send me their design, or I just do a design for them. We get the metal, whether they want it metal or whether they want it resin or whatever material they want it out of. We go in detail the head and the style of the head, the finish, and the handle, what they want the handle to look like, and all that. And then I custom make it to those specifications.
And it's not just yourself that works here. I understand your wife is in on this gig as well.
I have my beautiful wife. Come here. My beautiful wife, Terry, here. She got involved with it, and what she does is she literally picks the things apart. And she says, you got to do this, you got to fix this, you got to fix this. And so this is my beautiful wife, Terry, who, right over here, sweetie.
Excuse me.
She does all the leather work on the handles too,
Right.
and she does perfection. I mean, I let her just go on it, and she picks, like I said, she picks out the fine points, and she makes me refine them, and nothing leaves the studio unless she gives the approval.
So she's got the eyes for the detail
Correct.
on every little. So when you're doing the leather working and putting the leather on the handles, it's different each time. You're using
Oh, absolutely.
different types of leather, different.
There's thinner leathers, there's thicker leathers, there's different textures, different feels.
She hates elephant skin, by the way.
Yeah, I don't like it thick. Lamb, I love to work with the lamb skin.
Kangaroo was your favorite, I think.
Kangaroo is also fun. But they all have their own different substance and features to them.
And you also do engraving on the leather as well, so you can put different designs on not just the head of the hammer, but also the pommel and the leather working around the
Correct.
handle itself.
Correct.
I got to see a few different pieces around here, and I gotta say they're all absolutely beautiful
Thank
and
you.
all absolutely incredible, one of a kind pieces, and they're stunning. And the quality of the hammer itself and the leather it's not something you see on a regular basis. I go to conventions, I go to these different shows, and you go to conventions and you got the guys with the booths that have the different pieces, and I've never seen this quality
Thank you.
in any piece.
We get that
And
quite a
it's
bit.
stunning.
We
The
get
intricate
these
detail that
shows.
you don't even notice, like when you're holding the hammer right up on the head of the handle, nobody looks underneath, where the handle goes into the hammer itself. Nobody looks underneath it. But
I
you
do.
guys put that extra touch to even that part that nobody's ever going to see.
Right.
And it's absolutely astounding.
Yeah. I've had clients get a hold of me a year later and thank me for the hammer because they said I pick it up every day. I carry it. I look at it every day. It's just.
If I had one of these, I'd pick it up. I'd literally sit around the
Well,
house.
we have people that go to the cosplays that have bought his hammers and they see him 10 years or 5 years later and they're still carrying the hammer
Oh, yeah.
from the cosplay.
Yeah, they come
Yeah.
up and go, look, I've got one of your hammers, and it's become. I actually give with each hammer. I give a little card that says you're now a member of the Thor hammer, the Eaglewood Thor Hammer Club.
That's
so
awesome.
they get a little card with a date on it. And, a
And
signature.
you guys do stands as well for these hammers.
Correct.
And that's obviously something that's extra added on.
Correct.
But you guys do custom stands. Do you guys do custom wall mounts as well?
Yes, we
to
do.
hang on the wall?
Yes, we do.
And you can make them out of resin, wood.
Whatever you
Wood,
want.
metal. We can put whatever design you want on it. You want a Celtic design. You want, your name on it. You want your coat of arms on it.
Wow.
We could do
You
that.
want your business name on it.
Yeah.
Speaking of business, you had mentioned earlier that you guys do promotional work for different businesses, and so you guys hook up with different businesses will contact you and say, we want to give, a Thor's hammer to the new VP of marketing or something
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
And you guys just,
And they reach out to us. They actually come to us for that. And then we help them with the design and like the beer commercial that's out there now. And
that was your guys' hammer?
Correct.
yeah. And then bodybuilding shows and we do the Thor hammers and other things for the bodybuilding shows.
Speaking of the bodybuilding shows, those moldings, castings, I don't know which one's the proper term. Is it castings or
It's a body cast.
body casts? Those body casts are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. The attention to detail. You can see the raised bumps in the skin. It's insane.
Yeah, there's some that you can actually see the veins.
A lot of people think that basically you just go and you make a mold of somebody's body and you pour stuff in it and you're done. Well, that's taking the mold off the person's body is the easy part.
Right.
Creating the finished piece is the
Yes.
hard part.
I wanted to touch on that with the hammers. Walk me through the process. Like,
Okay.
what's from start to finish? You've got the customer, the client sends you the design, what he wants to see or she wants to see on it. Where do you go from there?
Depends on the material that they want it made out of. If it's a full metal version, then what I do is I have a guy, because my machine isn't stout enough to actually do the roughing on it. So I have a guy that I trust with my design, and I tell him, okay, I need one of these. And he's already got my different designs, so I tell him which one I want. He does the rough work on it, and he sends me the rough hammer. And at that point, we take over from there. I create the knotwork here. I do all the custom engraving here on the machine, and depending on which handle it is, she'll pour the handle out of resin or whatever it may be. And at that point, once the head's done with whatever finish they want on it, then I turn it over to her for the handle work and the final finishing, and then we get together to do the pommel and, you know, attaching everything together. So it's a step-by-step process that we go through.
Can you mix and match with different materials and different parts? So
Yes.
like
Absolutely.
a pewter pommel, a wood handle, wooden leather handle, and an aluminum
I'm
hammerhead.
actually doing one for a client right now. She's, the aluminum handle she's working on goes on a resin head.
The one that you just poured earlier?
No, not the one we poured,
No,
the other one she
okay.
was
The
working
one that I
on.
was working
Oh, the
on.
one that
she
you're
was
putting the
working on.
leather on right now?
Correct. That's gonna
Okay.
have a pewter pommel on it with the aluminum handle, and it goes on a resin head. And he has this custom logo that he wants on the
It's
side
just
of the head.
whatever the client wants.
Yeah.
That's what we bring to them.
And it's, sometimes it's determined by the client's pocketbook
Right.
as well.
Yes.
You know, I mean, these are not inexpensive pieces, you know, and we say that right up front. If you
They
know,
shouldn't be.
yeah.
They're incredible quality.
Well, I've had compliments. I've had people call them. They're telling me that they're works of art. They're
Oh,
not-
absolutely.
They're not just a hammer, a replica. They're works of
Absolutely
art.
not. No, that's
And we pride ourselves on that. We really do.
absolutely. I can't stop staring at the predator heads. There's a whole table over here with just predator heads.
He's
Just-
done a lot of Predator in his day.
I actually did a whole predator suit. I sculpted the head, and I make all the dreads. I still get requests for dreads and everything. There's a video out on YouTube. It's called Wolverine Predator versus Wolverine. And
I've seen that video.
That's Jamie Hall in there, and I did all the dreads on that suit.
Really?
It's in that suit.
The
Because-
one where they're in the woods and they're
in the
fighting
woods
by
and
the
fighting.
creek?
Yeah, I did
Ah,
all
I've
the
seen
dreads
that
on one.
video.
And me and my buddies, we got together and we did different portions of the costume. So yeah, I know
Wow.
Jamie Hall well.
How
He just
long?
finished up a helmet, or he did, where the guy wanted his motorcycle helmet to have the dreads on it.
Really?
And it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear it, but it turned out pretty cool.
What do you make the dreads out of?
Well, these, believe it or not, I used nylon rope. I took and got some black nylon rope, and I took my heat knife and I cut them, and then I heated them up with a torch and I rolled them so I got the ends, and then I molded tips. I hand sculpted and molded tips that look like bone, and I connected those to each one of them. And it was heavy, you know, and I'm going, this guy's going to ride this thing? These things are going to slap around and beat him to death. But he loved it. He loved it.
Yeah,
And
we
then I
ride
attached
motorcycles,
him to
so
the
we know
helmet.
what that can do.
So,
and I
Right.
wouldn't have
yeah.
it, but it's
And
pretty
he
neat looking.
drives a crotch rocket, but he loved it.
I would too. It's the
Yeah.
predator helmet.
Yeah.
The dreads and everything looking awesome.
Yeah, I did the full suit. I did a whole full suit, and I wore it to a couple of conventions. But you know, times change. You know, you
Yeah.
go doing one thing, and so I kind of am out of the Predator and just into doing different pieces of art now. It's not
Right.
just the Thor hammers. It's different pieces of art that I want to create now too.
With the Thor's hammers, you said you were into the comic books as a kid and you followed the movies and you did all that stuff. And now like you said just now, you're getting into the more artistic work and the more art pieces and looking around the shop and seeing things like the giant Arnold Schwarzenegger looking amazing, just
Yeah.
awesome. And the bone lightsaber
Correct.
he's got going, the bone lightsaber, and it was Highlander inspired. And in Arabesh around the whole thing, it says there can be only one, and it's awesome and gorgeous. And I'm literally just in awe of everything that I'm seeing in the shop. It's like being in a playland. Not even gonna lie.
It is our playland.
Not even
yeah.
gonna try and sugarcoat it and act like, oh yeah, I see this stuff all the time. I don't. 'Cause you don't see artwork like this all the time.
Thank
We
you.
enjoy
It's
it.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we have fun here.
I just want to play with this stuff. This is an incredible gift. Tell me about this.
Well, this isn't complete yet. I'm still working on it. Basically, I knew you guys were coming, so I wanted to do something for you. So what I did is sent me your logo. So I took the logo and I laser engraved it on the laser machine, and I'll make a stand for it, and then we'll put a light underneath it, and all the letters and the little alien will just light up like neon.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so cool.
so it's gonna be neat. Yeah, it'll be neat when it's done. I got to do a little more cleanup on it, so it's a little more detailed. But yeah,
It's
that's
still absolutely awesome and beautiful. Thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome
much
so
for
much.
letting us come to your shop and talk to you about everything. And I just want to take another walk around and just look at stuff one more time before we get out of here. But thank you very much,
You're welcome
guys,
to.
Thank
for
you.
inviting us into
It's a
your
pleasure.
shop.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much. So, where do we go to get the stuff? We go to Thor Hammers.
Thor Hammers. Make sure you put the S on the end of it.
The S on Hammers, not
Hammers.
Thor.
Yeah, ThorHammers.com.
Okay.
Or you can check our Facebook page. It's Thor Hammers.
Okay.
Or we have a YouTube channel which is called Eaglewood TC.
Eaglewood TC.
If you go in there and you type in Mjolnir damage, you'll get us. You'll find me out there going ballistic on a truck with a couple of the hammers, and I literally go Thor on it. I stand back and I throw it, and it goes through the windshield, and then I beat it up. And a lot of
Which one
people.
were
The
you
reason
using?
I did this is because people were asking me, "Can you use the hammers? Can you really use the hammers?" And so I said, well, I'm just going to make a video to show that I can use the hammer. So a friend of mine had a old
Pretty
truck,
crazy
so
video.
I went out there and I just started going ballistic.
Did
and I
you use
threw
the
it through
steel one?
No,
The
actually,
70 pound
I used one that I don't have anymore. It had meteorite embedded in the sides of it. It had
Oh,
real
wow.
meteorite embedded, and I chucked that one through there. And then I used one of the resin ones, and I beat on the
So,
side of the fender.
Hang on. So you made a Thor hammer out of meteorite?
The hammer itself was aluminum, and embedded in the sides of it were slabs of meteorite that were 3/4 inches thick and about 6 inches long and 4 inches high, embedded in the sides of the hammer.
So you made a Thor hammer out of meteorite, and so this Thor hammer was literally made from the heart of a dying star.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
One more time. What's the website?
www.thorhammers.com. The Facebook page is Thor Hammers, and the YouTube is Eaglewood TC, like Tom Charlie.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for letting me come.
Thank you.
and
Thanks
see
for
You're
this
coming.
art,
welcome. We
and
enjoy it.
absolutely stunning. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Just so you were all clear on this, ThorHammers.com, ThorHammer.com. With an S, no S. Go to the right website. Big difference.